Well, today I'm looking at the Acura MDX, and this is a slightly different review. I always get a vehicle for a week, but this week I have to drive into the interior of British Columbia. I'm at a speaking engagement there. And while I'm driving there and back, I'll give you my impressions of the MDX. This vehicle shares its platform with the Honda Pilot and the Honda Ridgeline, but this is different because it has 10 more horsepower, super handling all-wheel drive, adaptive suspension, sports transmission, a standard 9-speed transmission, and LED headlamps on the outside. That's how you spot it. So what I'm going to do is get in, start driving, and talk about the MDX. All right, I've been driving for over an hour now. I've done 162 kilometers. I'm averaging 11.5 liters per 100K. It's been all flat. If you know Vancouver, heading out on Highway 1, I'm now heading into the mountains, and it's going to be interesting to watch the fuel economy up to Penticton and back. Now, I didn't really mention the changes to this 2017 MDX on the outside. Those LED lights I mentioned are now standard equipment. Also LED fog lights, and there's a new grille and look to the front of the vehicle. I think it looks pretty good. They've added a bit more chrome around the vehicle as well. It certainly looks like a slightly facelifted MDX, and that's really what we have at play here. But what I want to talk about now is the engine and how it differs from the Pilot. It's a 3.5 liter V6, just like the Pilot. This one, however, is recommended or required premium fuel to get a 10 horsepower bump in performance. The other thing is, in the Pilot, the 9-speed automatic is on the top trim. You get the regular 6-speed, and that's standard in the MDX. Now, I have to say right out of the gate, I did not have nice things at all to say about the Pilot. I was pretty cruel with the 9-speed. I said, don't even look at it. And now I'm driving this MDX with the 9-speed, and they've certainly cleaned up the rack. The tip-in is really responsive. It drops a gear or two. Still on and off throttle at low speeds. It can be a little bit jerky, but definitely a massive improvement from that initial experience. It also has a sport function. You just push the drive button in the center again, and it makes the transmission much livelier. Now, talking about the center console here and the shifter, it really is gimmicky. It's this electronic shifter. It takes up the exact amount of space that you have with a regular shifter. Why they've gone to this push button thing, I don't know. I don't think it's any better. In fact, it's a bit of a distraction. So those are my initial impressions driving this MDX. So far, so good. I'll check back in a couple hours and we'll see how it's going. All right, I just pulled off what's called the connector here in British Columbia, and off to my left shoulder is Lake Okanagan. So I have about a 30-40 minute drive down to Penticton. So yeah, it's been good. It has a setting here for the suspension. You push a button and it goes from comfort to normal to sport, and it does work. It does firm up the suspension. It also firms up the steering. And all that's doing is giving more resistance to the steering. And in the sport mode, it's kind of artificial. It's not really changing anything. It's just making it heavier. I have that with my Audi as well, and I find it a bit disconcerting. So at times it's been good to have that, and other times not. So it's been a very pleasurable drive. The cabin is comfortable. I'm going to talk more about that when I return home tomorrow. So I'm here for a conference, and the next time you see me, I'll be wearing different clothes. All right, it's the next day, change of clothes, just fueled up. I used 3/4 of a tank of fuel and drove 500 kilometers. And at the fill up, it says now I'm now averaging 10.1 liters per 100 kilometers, which is pretty good. So we'll get the final number on the way back. So before I head out, oh, by the way, I have my Subway sandwich for the road trip. Before I head out, I want to talk about the interior of this MDX. Now, I just last week had the Ridgeline from Honda, and I've driven, of course, the new Pilot and the new Hondas that have gone away from the 2-screen system back to a single screen, and now getting into this MDX, I got to tell you, I think I prefer the single screen. This one can be a little bit confusing at times. The screen isn't as bright and clear. The new Honda screen is very crisp. The good news is, however, you get a volume button, and that is definitely handy. Now, the rest of the interior, it's a premium product. It has the leather seats and this new wood inlay, but it's not too plush in here. The size is excellent. Like if you look at the Pilot or the MDX, there's plenty of room in the back. They have this automatic fold forward system. You push a button and the second row flips and folds forward for easier access into the third row. Even the third row, when the third row is up, there is quite a bit of space behind there, and the seats are really easy to put down. You just pull a lever, the headrest folds and folds into the floor. And when you have this as a 5-passenger, it really is big. This size of vehicle is just exploding in popularity. The main competitors to this in the premium space would be the XC90 from Volvo. The Infiniti version of their Pathfinder is out there as well, and maybe the Q7 from Audi. But this car, it's sold as a premium with some nice premium touches, but it doesn't really scream of luxury on the inside. And I do prefer the single screen in the Honda products. What I don't like is this push button transmission thing. Anyway, heading out in the road now, and we'll see you in a couple hours. All right, so been driving for a few hours, made it back down to the Fraser Valley, and of course it's raining in Vancouver. Another thing that's kind of off topic, it's got nothing to do with this MDX, it's just about cars in general with these light colored seats. This car has about 9,000 kilometers on it. And people have been wearing obviously dark denim jeans getting in and out of the driver's seat. And it shows, it stains the seats. I brought this up before in a Mazda video. If you're thinking of buying a car, really think long and hard about getting light colored seats like this, because it's more work. You have to clean the seats regularly, and if you don't, then it'll stain. It just shows on this exactly what can happen. So this MDX, does it really shine in any one area? Not really. It's very good at pretty much everything. The only thing that it has over the Pilot is it has a 10 more horsepower, which you need premium fuel for, and it's the 9-speed automatic as standard equipment, good or bad, you decide on that one. You get the adaptive suspension, but it's a $13,000 leap over the Pilot, base model to base model, but it does have a volume knob. So when I get home through the rain, I'll tell you what the final fuel economy was. Okay, as I turn onto my block, getting home, exactly 9.9 liters per 100 kilometers is what I averaged over just under 900 kilometers. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab this sheet because it has the official fuel economy on here. It's supposed to be 9 liters on the highway and 12.6 in the city, and I averaged 9.9. Then again, it's just me in here. There's no other people. One thing I didn't mention is the fact that this vehicle comes with a super handling all-wheel drive versus the Pilot, which does not. It's a sort of a torque shifting all-wheel drive system that's meant to give you better handling. This isn't the kind of vehicle you're going to choose for optimal handling. It's a people mover, and it does everything really well. As I mentioned, it's a good all-rounder. You have to decide if that price premium is worth it over the Honda Pilot.